Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your Quizmaster Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you about the 1950s. So let's see what we know, perhaps what we remember. And remember, this does keep our brains young, or so I've heard. Let's start with question number 1 and have a little fun. Which of these slang terms were commonly used in the 1950s? Cutting a rug, busting a move, or having a blast? The term commonly used in the 1950s was having a blast. Which of these music genres were popular in the 1950s? Swing, bebop, or doo-wop? And the popular genre of the 1950s was doo-wop. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. were members of which group? Was it the Brat Pack, the Rat Pack, or the Frat Pack? They were members of the Rat Pack. In which movie did actor James Dean first star? Was it Giant, East of Eden, or Rebel Without a Cause? James Dean first starred in East of Eden. Which of these musicians is credited as being the pioneer of rock and roll? Was it Chuck Berry? Was it Buddy Holly? Or was it Elvis Presley? The pioneer of rock and roll, that would be Chuck Berry. The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged are novels by which author? Allen Ginsberg, Ayn Rand, or Aldous Huxley? The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. Those were written by Ayn Rand. Which of these actors was born in 1958? Gary Oldman, Jeff Bridges, or Tommy Lee Jones? Of those three, born in 1958 was Gary Oldman. In what year did the Korean War start? 1950, 1952, or 1953? The Korean War, that started in 1950. Which of these countries gained its independence from France in 1957? Mauritania, Morocco, or was it Malaysia? And that was Morocco. Lollipop and Mr. Sandman are beloved 50s songs by which group? The Champs, the Chordettes, or was it the Platters? Those are songs by the Chordettes. True or false? Let's burn rubber is a 50s slang term for driving a car. And that is true. Follow your curiosity and live in the moment are quotes from which popular public figure? Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, or Albert Einstein? Follow your curiosity. Live in the moment. Wise words by Albert Einstein. What was the first name of Elvis Presley's wife? Was it Priscilla? Was it Anne? Or was it Lisa Marie? Elvis Presley's wife was named Priscilla. Which actress starred alongside James Stewart in the 1958 movie Vertigo? Melanie Daniels, Kim Novak, or was it Grace Kelly? And that would be Kim Novak. Ankle biter is a 1950s slang term for what? A dog? A sock? Or a child? An ankle biter is 50s slang for a child. Splish Splash was a hit 1959 song by which singer? Was it Jerry Lee Lewis? Was it Bobby Darin? Or was it Johnny Mathis? That was a hit song by Bobby Darin. Who wrote the innovative 1950s sci-fi novel I, Robot? Was it Isaac Asimov? Was it Robert A. Heinlein? Or was it Ray Bradbury? That was written by Isaac Asimov. Which of these actors was born in 1956? Sean Penn, Martin Sheen, or Mel Gibson? Of these three actors, the one born in 1956, that was Mel Gibson. Which of these Disney movies were released in the 1950s? Peter Pan, Bambi, or Fantasia? And released in the 50s was Peter Pan. What was actress Marilyn Monroe's real name? Was her real name Kathleen Rustin? Was it Norma Mortensen? Or was it Lucille LeSueur? Marilyn Monroe's real name was Norma Jean Mortensen. Who played the lead role in the 1957 anti-war movie Paths of Glory? Was it Gary Cooper, William Holden, or Kirk Douglas? And that was Kirk Douglas. The first satellite, Sputnik, was launched into space in what year? 1955, 1957, or 1959? And the year was 1957. Which popular 50s jazz musician was known as Satchmo and Pops? Louis Armstrong, Art Blakey, or Chet Baker? And that was Louis Armstrong. Where were the 1956 Summer Olympics held? Canada, Australia, or Mexico? And they were held in Australia. Finish the movie title, Blank on a Hot Tin Roof. Is it Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Girl on a Hot Tin Roof, or is it Rain on a Hot Tin Roof? And that would be Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. True or false? Actor Marlon Brando was married 5 times. Is that true or is that false? And that is false. A hot rod was a 1950s type of what? Was it nuclear energy? Was it a suit? Or was it a type of car? A hot rod describes a car. Which football team won the FIFA World Cup in 1958 and again in 1962? Was it Italy? Was it Brazil? Or was it Argentina? And by football, I mean soccer. That was Brazil. Harry S. Truman was a victim of an attempted assassination while in what country? Was he in Puerto Rico? Was he in Washington, D.C.? Or was he in San Juan, also Puerto Rico? He was in Washington, D.C. That would be America. The United States. In what year was NASA founded? 1954, 1956, or 1958? NASA was founded in 1958. Who sang the 1952 smash hit song, You Belong to Me? Joe Stafford, Peggy Lee, or Doris Day? And that was sung by Joe Stafford. Who played the lead role in the Alfred Hitchcock movie North by Northwest? Was that James Stewart, Rock Hudson, or Cary Grant? That was Cary Grant. Teddy boys was a term for young people who styled themselves after what? Air Force pilots, rock and roll, or cowboy movies? Teddy boys was a term for those who styled themselves after rock and roll. In what year did Formula One racing have its inaugural season? Was it 1950? Was it 1952? Or was it 1954? And the inaugural Formula One season was 1950. The New Look was the 1950s slogan of which luxury brand? Louis Vuitton, Dolce & Gabbana, or Christian Dior? The New Look. That was a slogan of Christian Dior. Giles Perry Richardson Jr. was better known by what alter ego? The Big Bopper, Buddy Holly, or was that Little Richard? That was the alter ego of The Big Bopper. Finished the 1954 book title, Lord of the... Was it Lord of the Rings? Was it Lord of the Flies? Or was it Lord of the World? It was Lord of the Flies. Which of these 1950s celebrities did not die in a car crash? Was it Grace Kelly? Was it James Dean? Or was it Monty Clift? Monty Clift did not die in a car crash in the 1950s. Actress Brigitte Bardot was originally from which country? France, Belgium, or Canada? Brigitte Bardot was originally from France. I guess it's Brigitte Bardot. Cranked was a 1950s slang word to describe what feeling? Heartbreak, excitement, or intoxication? In the 1950s, if you were cranked, that means you were full of excitement. Which of these musicians was born in the 1950s? Steven Tyler, Mick Jagger, or Peter Gabriel? Born in the 1950s, that was Peter Gabriel. True or false? Elvis Presley was born in Hawaii. Is that true, or is that make-believe? That's false. Elvis was born in Mississippi. Which actor appeared in both Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments? John Wayne, Charlton Heston, or was it Yul Brynner? Charlton Heston appeared in both Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments. What popular candy was released in the 1950s? Was it a Tootsie Roll? Was it Sugar Daddies? Or was it the Pez dispenser? The popular candy released in the 50s. That was the Pez dispenser. Which of these Hollywood actors died in 1959 at the age of 50? Was it Errol Flynn, Richard Boone, or was it James Cagney? Errol Flynn died at the age of 50 in 1959. Who performed the 1957 hit song, The Book of Love? The Drifters, the Monotones, or was it the Weavers? The Book of Love was performed by the Monotones. Pencil, pocket, and poodle were what type of item of clothing? Were they handbags, shoes, or were they dresses? They were dresses. The coronation of Queen Elizabeth II took place in what year? Was it 1953, 1955, or was it 1957? Her coronation took place in 1953. What is the name of the American air defense system developed in 1959? Is that DARPA, NORAD, or Contra? And the air defense system is called NORAD. The Wind of Destruction was a violent revolution that took place in which African country? Was it Egypt? Was it Sudan? Or was it in Rwanda? That took place in Rwanda. In what year did the Russian dictator Joseph Stalin die? Did he die in 51, 1952, or 1953? Stalin died in 1953. Actor James Dean was born in which U.S. state? Was he born in West Virginia, Indiana, or Nebraska? James Dean was born in Indiana. People who slicked back their hair and wore leather jackets were called what? Were they punks? Were they rockabillys? Or were they greasers? If they slicked back their hair and wore leather, they were greasers. Do you want a leg or a breast? Is a famous quote from which movie? To Catch a Thief, Born Yesterday, or Some Like It Hot? That's from To Catch a Thief. Number 15 and number 17 are enigmatic colorist paintings by which artist? Alberto Giacometti, Jackson Pollock, or Mark Rothko? Those are paintings by Mark Rothko. Who took over as the leader of the Soviet Union after the death of Stalin? Was it Leonid Brezhnev, Nikita Khrushchev, or Vladimir Lenin? Taking over after Stalin was Nikita Khrushchev. If you were to bake a biscuit in the 1950s, what would you be doing? Would you be making music? Would you be having sex? Or would you be playing frisbee? You'd be making music. Who won the Korean War? North Korea, South Korea, or neither? It was a tie. It's neither. The war hasn't ended, officially. Finish the 1953 book title, The Old Man and the... Is it The Old Man and the Donkey, The Old Man and the Sea, or The Old Man and the Mountain? It's The Old Man and the Sea. Rock Around the Clock was a hit 50s song by which artist? Buddy Holly, Roger Williams, or Bill Haley? Rock Around the Clock was a hit song by Bill Haley and the Comets. Which of these 1950s movies won the most Academy Awards? Was it Rear Window, Ben-Hur, or The Seventh Seal? And that was Ben-Hur. Which of these U.S. presidents was vice president in 1953? Richard Nixon, John F. Kennedy, or Jimmy Carter? The VP in 53 was Richard Nixon. A bash was a 50s slang word used to describe what? A fight, a party, or a car race? A bash is a 50s slang term for a party. Sidney Poitier was the first black actor to win an Oscar nomination for what movie? The Defiant Ones, All the Young Men, or Edge of the City? Sidney Poitier was the first black actor to get an Oscar for The Defiant Ones. Which U.S. president was a popular actor during the 1950s? John F. Kennedy, Gerald Ford, or Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan was the popular actor during the 1950s. I'd walk a mile for a camel was a 50s slogan for what product? Athletic shoes, cigarettes, or air travel? That was a slogan for a particular cigarette brand. Which of these actors played Superman in the 1952 TV show? Pernell Roberts, Randolph Scott, or George Reeves? George Reeves played Superman in the 1952 series. Flipping your lid was a 50s slang term for doing what? Going crazy, dancing, or lighting a cigarette? Flipping your lid means you're going crazy. Finish the 1952 movie title, Blank in the Rain. Dancing in the rain, singing in the rain, or driving in the rain? That would be singing in the rain. How did singer Buddy Holly die? Did he die in a plane crash, a car accident, or was it a drug overdose? Buddy Holly died as a result of a plane crash. And what was his real name? Harlan, Lewis, or Charles? Buddy Holly's real name was Charles. Finish the band name. Billy Ward and the... Is it Billy Ward and the Comets, Billy Ward and the Dominoes, or Billy Ward and the Crickets? It's Billy Ward and the Dominoes. In what year did the first spacecraft, Luna 2, touch down on the surface of the moon? Was it 1956, 1957, or 1959? Luna 2 touched down on the surface of the moon in 1959. Rosalind Franklin discovered what in 1953? Was it the X-ray? Was it DNA? Or was it LSD? DNA. Which scientist invented the polio vaccine in 1953? Was it John Salk? Was it James Watson? Or was it Charles Towns? Let's go with Jonas Salk for number 1. It was Jonas Salk. The 1956 Winter Olympics was held in which country? Was it Italy, Norway, or Finland? The 1956 Winter Olympics was held in Italy. Which of these is not the name of a 1950s hairstyle? The pompadour, the lattice, or the bouffant? Not a 1950s hairstyle. The lattice is not a 1950s hairstyle. Frankie Vaughan was a popular singer from which country? Is Frankie from Canada, Northern Ireland, or is he from the United Kingdom? Frankie Vaughan was from the UK. A passion pit refers to what popular 1950s location? Would that be dance halls, drive-ins, or diners? Those would describe drive-in movie theaters. Who wrote the 1952 children's book, Charlotte's Web? Was that written by Maurice Sendak, Mary Norton, or E.B. White? Charlotte's Web was written by E.B. White. Pads, cribs, and dives were 50 slang terms for what? A house, a restaurant, or a bar? Pads, cribs, and dives. Slang terms for your house. Finish the movie title. Attack of the 50-foot, was it monster, 50-foot woman, or the 50-foot thing? That'd be the 50-foot woman. Actress Sophia Loren is originally from which country? Is she from Argentina? Is she from France? Or is she from Italy? Sophia Loren is originally from Italy. Actor Alec Guinness won the Oscar for Best Actor in 1957 for what movie? The King and I, Bridge Over the River Kwai, or Separate Tables? He won the Oscar for Bridge Over the River Kwai. The Munich air disaster was a plane crash involving which UK football team? Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspurs, or Aston Villa? That involved Manchester United. Who played Beaver Cleaver in the TV show Leave It to Beaver? Was that played by Tony Dow, Ken Osmond, or Jerry Mathers? Beaver. The Beaver was played by Jerry Mathers. Who succeeded Winston Churchill as Prime Minister of Great Britain? Harold Macmillan, Anthony Eden, or Clement Attlee? Succeeding Winston Churchill the first time was Anthony Eden. In what year did the Eurovision Song Contest first debut? 1956, 1958, or 1959? And Eurovision debuted in 1956. Who sang the 1956 song Why Do Fools Fall in Love? The Coasters, the Teenagers, or the Chords? That was sung by the Teenagers. Jackie Gleason and Audrey Meadows starred as husband and wife in which TV show? The Real McCoys, The Honeymooners, or I Love Lucy? One of these days to the moon. The Honeymooners. Which of these actresses was born in the 1950s? Jamie Lee Curtis, Sigourney Weaver, or Julianne Moore? Born in the 1950s. That's Jamie Lee Curtis. What is the name given to the generation born in the 1950s? The Silent Generation, Generation X, or Baby Boomers? The generation born in the 1950s-ish are the Baby Boomers. Which writer won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1954? Ayn Rand, Ernest Hemingway, or was it J.D. Salinger? And that would be Ernest Hemingway. In 1955, what island was liberated from Chinese control? Hong Kong, Singapore, or Taiwan? And that was Taiwan. Which famous painter died in 1954? Frida Kahlo, Maxfield Parrish, or Paul Klee? And that famous painter was Frida Kahlo. Dullsville is a 1950s slang term meaning what? Uneducated, boring, or countryside? Dullsville is a slang term that means boring. What country united with Egypt in 1958 to form the United Arab Republic? Was it Saudi Arabia, Libya, or Syria? And that country would be Syria. It didn't last. Humphrey Bogart won an Oscar for Best Actor in 1951 for which movie? The African Queen, The Left Hand of God, or Sirocco? He won the Oscar for The African Queen. True or false? More people died in the Korean War than the Vietnam War. Is that true or is that false? That is a hard one. That's false. And now question 100. Gas is a 1950s slang term meaning what? Smelly, annoying, or cool? We're cooking with gas. That means cool. A good thing. And that's all I got for you. Thanks for playing Quiz Time. Drop your score in the comments section, please. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Because we're going to come out with Quiz Time again. A lot. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.